Okay, the flinders trip from July 2024. We left from Sydney, slabbed it all the way to Louth on the first day, and then we ended up in Arkaroola over the next 2 days, stopping at Cameron's Corner. We slabbed it all the way to Louth on the first day. We set up camp. I made an effort to try and get here because 4 years prior I did a lap or half a lap of New South Wales on a Kawasaki Versys 1000, and I was meant to stay at this Razorback station, but the road was in terrible condition and it was very sandy. I probably stacked it twice on the way there. Once I got to the station, I'm like, hey, doesn't matter how much it costs, take me back. So I'll probably pop up a photo of that in the ute. It just so happens that the station owners were going into town for their anniversary to get a succulent Chinese meal. Yeah, so that was my gift back to them, is actually going back and staying with them. So we stayed there, had a quick look at the Darling River. So I'm on the Africa Twin, Dad or Greg's on the DRZ 400 with a big 440 kit and the wide ratio gearbox, put in specifically for this long trip. So we're off from Louth and we're heading to Wanaaring, and this is our first taste of some red dirt. We got up pretty early in the morning, so there are a few roos about. Probably seen the distance is probably at least 20. It was incredibly green out here. I was really surprised with that, considering how much rain there'd been. Ended up in Wanaaring. They had some cats over there, and we bumped into this guy on a KTM 690, and he warned us of this guy. He went to help him and he's like, hey, what happened? And he hit a kangaroo. And he hit a kangaroo, but it was already dead. I thought that was just absurd. So we headed up riding towards Tibooburra, and lo and behold, we come around the corner and there's this old clapped out KLR. He was saying that the float bowl was leaking. So the float bowl was leaking, we're like, okay, well, there's not much you can really do about it here. I'm not pulling apart this carb. So let's just go. You know, Dad and I had fuel bladders. So anyway, he made it to Tibooburra. We stopped for some photos on the way, and he did help with taking a photo of Dad and I. So the next morning, we left really early from Tibooburra because we wanted to make it to Arkaroola. So we left before dusk, and yeah, there weren't any kangaroos or anything on the road, which is pretty good, but it was really a sight to see, seeing the desert sunrise. It was quite spectacular, so we got a bit of a time lapse of the sun rising. Stop at the dog fence for a quick photo. There's a big bandicoot. That's Sturt National Park. And we're crossing the border into Cameron's Corner. Just having a bit of a look inside the store. And we had to do the obligatory trip around the 3 states.
Queensland. I'm in Queensland. Alright, we're in 3 different states. I'm in South Australia.
And then we headed out to Murdy, coming into the flinders from the north. You can see there's a whole lot of nothing, and then all of a sudden you can see the Gammon Ranges, which is the northern flinders, out of nowhere. It's really quite spectacular. There was nothing too ridiculously tricky. There was nothing tricky at all about the first 3 days of riding. It was just gravel roads. You just never know with these gravel roads if there's going to be a big washout, or if there's going to be bull dust or anything like that. So you just always have to keep an eye out. You can see it was really dusty, so we kind of kept our distance. We did plan, well I did plan, on camping most nights. Now we did camp at the Razorback Station on the first night in Louth. That was Dad's first day camping, and he said, hey, I don't care what it costs, I'm paying for a motel. So we ended up moteling it at Tibooburra, and we also stayed at Arkaroola for 2 nights. We kept that as sort of like a base station. We did some loops. And yeah, we did stay in motels or cabins for the rest of the trip, with the exception of when we were at Skytrek, because there was none available. So we did get 2 days of use out of the tents, out of the 7 days that we went riding. So up in one of the gaps up ahead in the mountains, you'll enter into the main road, and then you'll hook a right, and then you head north towards Arkaroola. There's a lot of hikers and stuff around Arkaroola, but there's a lot of private tracks as well. Some that you have to pay for, and some that you actually no, well, all the private ones you have to pay for. But there's some really good riding up and around Arkaroola. There's a lot of hiking. Alright, and this is Arkaroola. I went for a quick walk up the top of the village. it was a really nice view. There's a pyramid looking mountain there. I don't know a lot about the geology. But then the next day we went to the Nantawarrina Indigenous Protected Area, which you do have to pay for entry. There is an honesty box at the start. I think it's like about $20 per entry. And this was sort of like the first twin track that we kind of did. So you go through some creek beds, there's some rocks here and there, but it was nothing too challenging. The African swim went fine, and the DRZ went through it really easy. It's interesting looking at some of these creeks because they're so dry, but then I see photos and videos of when it pours rain, they flash flood really quickly because the ground's so high. When we were riding through the IPA, we could see there were a lot of eagles sort of circling around, and every now and then we'd see a herd of goats. So those eagles are definitely looking around for some baby goats. Hey, we're following a bit of a creek bed here. It was a little bit loose. Then we quickly went to Blinman, get some fuel, stopped at the bakery, and then we headed back up via Arkaroola Road. Was it Northern Flinders Road? Yeah, that's the one. And there's heaps of stops on the way. We can get cool photos like this with some of the rocks and the formations. We stopped at Arkaroola, back at our accommodation, and there, like I said, there were a few like twin tracks up around the village where you can go and see some of these formations up close. There's some water holes and things like that, so we did some exploring late in the afternoon. we're heading towards a four-wheel drive track that I had a GPX file for, and I did not know at the time there was going to be a locked gate. Now, as I was feeling a bit adventurous, we did ride around the locked gate, but then after the very first hill climb, like, well, this is a bit gnarly, it's a bit late in the afternoon, let's not try and push our luck, so that we turned back after maybe a kilometre. And we did find out that there was a locked gate on the other side as well, so we didn't want to have to go backtrack all the way as well. I think it's about $50 to do the track, which is a bit steep, but you also need to sign a disclaimer, because apparently it's pretty rough in spots now. I don't know if it really is, or they're just trying to scare you, just so you don't go in beyond your own ability. But yeah, there was apparently a water hole here at the end of this track. I'm not sure if it was the IBC that we were looking at, but yeah, there was definitely no water. Again, probably when it rains there is some water, but it was real dry. But the gorge was amazing, especially the afternoon sun on it.
I'm not sure if it's an artificial water hole with that IBC.
Now we did some backtracking, now we're heading towards that locked gate. Right, and here we are going up the hill climb, we've got the sun in our eyes, not a whole lot of visibility. Hear the Africa Twin lugging up that. Couldn't see much, so I got the Insta360, so we'll probably do a replay looking back at me, so you can see a bit of the body English going on. Even though we did end up backtracking here, I think the views were worth it. Looking over some of these crests, probably the next crest. I couldn't see over it, and I couldn't see how steep it was. And I said, you can see that sun setting behind us. I'm like, oh, I don't know about this. I quickly started reading the topo lines on my map. I'm like, well, this is gonna drop off real quick. And the topo lines are only one sort of part of the story. You know, if there's a couple of big divots from the four-wheel drives, yeah, it was this crest here. You couldn't see over it. I'm like, nah, I think we're gonna call it here. nice view though. Now for navigation, I do use a Samsung tablet with DMD2, so it's got all the offline maps and you can see all the topographic lines. So we rode back, we got some fish for dinner, so I don't know where the nearest fish came from, but yeah, that was day one.